Guys, we're working on the part 3 of the analytical response essay, and we're going to be working on the homework assignment for Thursday, which is due on the 26th. So it's this one right here. I'm actually going to scroll down. I'm on the home page here. So this is part 3, so make sure, if you haven't done it already, you need to watch the analytical response explanation first, and then how to read what is happiness next. And so then you can watch this one for the homework that's due on Thursday, March 26th. So I'm going to click on that and show you guys what that looks like. All right, so you really want to do this on a printed document, and that for a couple of reasons. Partly because when we read on a screen, it's definitely different and more difficult to go from line to line, so that you're reading carefully and that you're really reading each word and not just doing skimming or scanning activities. So you want to print this, or at least pull it up on a screen so that you can do detailed annotation here. All right, so remember, you're going to look for, when we write a summary, remember a summary is a brief restatement of a text's main ideas. And so you are expected in a summary to cover the whole document in the same order, and to make sure that you're telling what the author said and not just describing what they're doing. So summary is different from analysis. So it's really important. So you're really telling me what the author said using your own words. Remember, you're not allowed to use quotations when you write a summary. So remember that you're working on main ideas versus details in a summary. So you really want to focus on main topics. So you want to look for main topics or keywords that relate to main topics that are stated clearly in a sentence. And then you want to make connections between the text's thesis and the paragraph sentences that help explain the reasons or ideas in the thesis. So we can actually go back and find the thesis in What is Happiness to understand where we're kind of going, where we're looking for main ideas. And then you want to make sure you can tell the difference between main ideas and detail sentences, because detail sentences are full of details. They have examples, they have illustrations, they have facts and figures. Those are going to be detail sentences that explain. They might be very important details, but they're more specific than the main ideas tend to be. Alrighty, so we're going to be working on just kind of going through again the What is Happiness essay and how to write a summary instructions. All right, so let's start here with how to write a summary, and we're just going to go through this very quickly, and I'm going to show you a couple of good tools. So the first sentence in a summary is going to have some really specific information. It's going to have the title of the text you are summarizing. In this case, we are summarizing what is happiness. And this, my dears, is how you write what is happiness. Notice it's in quotations because it's an essay from a larger source, okay? It has a capital W, a capital I, and a capital H, and it has a question mark in the title. That is how you write the title, okay? The author's full name is John Ciardi. The type of text and original source, well, it's an essay published in the Saturday Review, which is a literary magazine, in 1964, and a short statement naming the text topic. Well, it's pretty obvious. It's his definition of happiness. So that's really what you're using for that first sentence. So a summary includes all of the main ideas in the same order. So it's really important. So we recognize that he's talking about, from the last idea, this idea of American commercialism and materialism first. And then he goes into talking about other ideas. Then he talks about spiritualism down here, all the way down, spiritualism. And then kind of right here in the middle of this paragraph, he starts to talk about balance. We can see that. He's talking about balance over here. Okay, and then he goes into more talking about balance, right? Balance, 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 balance. Okay, and then he transitions into this idea of effort here, and then this idea of life-engaging difficulties. And then he sort of talks about that all the way through, okay, from here all the way through. No difficulty, no fun. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Lost their sense of the pleasure of difficulties. So all the way down, effort and difficulty being part of that idea, okay? And then he kind of goes into this idea of becoming. It's all the way down here, but was where he kind of coins the term. But he says happiness is never more than partial, and he talks about becoming all the way down to the end, where he says why it's important to rethink the definition of becoming and think about becoming happy rather than being happy or having happiness. So we're always becoming happy. Okay, so that's kind of a walkthrough of all of his main ideas. So those are all the main ideas in the same order. So you want to keep them in the same order. Again, you're using your own words and you're using signal phrases to give credit to the author for every idea in the sentence. And then if you need to, you're going to provide a little context and detail to help you follow along. Remember, you're not going to use quotes or exact wording from the original text. That is a no-no. You're not going to include your opinion or response in this part. This is just the summary. You're not going to add any ideas to the summary, and you're not going to use any first or second person pronouns in your summary. So those are kind of the rules, okay? So some reminders here about what information you have to put in your summary, and then there's a handy little template. Okay, now you can change some of the words here in the template if you need to, but really what I want you to work on first is just filling in all of these blanks with the information that I'm asking for in these little notes. You see these little notes? So in correctly formatted title, well, that's right up here. What is happiness? Written just like that. So that would go in this first blank, which was originally published in name of magazine and publication year. Well, that would be a Saturday Review in 1964, right? And then here's a blank author's full name, John Ciardi, just put that there. Addresses the main idea of the text, right? Okay, so this is pretty easy to fill out, okay? Remember, you're using your own words here, so how do you do that? What's the best way to do it? Well, what you don't want to do is, what you don't want to do is what I just did. What you don't want to do, sorry about that, is write your summary, fill in your summary while you're looking at this text. So what you want to do instead is really have a set of notes that you're using to take, to write down ideas in your own words. So we're going to just practice. So then he talks about buying our way to happiness. So we know, so we're going to put these kind of in order. So first, Ciardi says, Americans believe that buying things will make them happy. Okay, so that's to cover materialism. Okay, and that's this first main idea. And remember, most of that page that we have here, most of page 1 from the second video I made, this is all talking about the idea that this is a silly thing to do, right? So we can actually add here, but Ciardi, thinks this is a false path to happiness. And notice how I am just using this as a reference as I'm thinking about these ideas, okay? Second, we can say, I'll clear down here. Remember, here was, do you guys remember? This was the thesis. And so next, I know I'm looking for the spiritual extreme. And then as I get past the spiritual extreme, I'm going to figure out how he's working toward the middle, where he gets into balance, effort, difficulty in order to become is what happiness really requires. So then look here. So what is the holy man's idea? Okay. The next extreme is spiritualism, which Chiardi thinks is not real happiness either, because it doesn't so he says it's an illusion, it's not real. It maybe is too difficult. And refuses to move or something like that. That's not great, but you know, this gets the idea down, okay? So basically you're just taking notes here. Once you have these notes, then you're going to put this document away, okay? And then you're going to use these notes to then fill in this part. So if you look here, so to begin, she already describes the American view of happiness, which is buying things will make them happy. Okay, there you go. How Americans think that buying things will make them happy. Using the example of, well, we can say commercialism, advertising, to show that it's a false path to happiness, something like that. Okay, and so that all comes here, from here, okay? So hopefully that makes some sense to you and you guys can fill out the rest of this. Remember, it's better to write from your own notes, even if you get it a little bit wrong at first, I can help you with that, than to copy straight from the original essay, because then you're almost certainly going to accidentally parasteal instead of using your own words. Okay, hopefully that helps. More on the way.